All right. We're back tonight in the Counselor's Corner, also featuring the Hanging with Herb segment. So tonight's topic is going to be layaway plan, survival of the fittest. And of course, you've heard me talk about the layaway plan before. And I'm not talking about putting up uh, PS4, Xbox, a bike, and all of that stuff during layaway season. I'm talking about when men and women decide when they see something they like, but they may not be the right age, so they kind of put them on the shelf. And that's what we call a layaway plan. So example, if it was somebody 15, 16, they may actually hold off a couple years and then decide, okay, they're ready. So that's what the layaway plan is. What's going on, Herb?
What's going on, man?
Nothing much, man. Nothing much. Uh, Monday, you know how it is.
Yes, indeed, man. Yes, indeed.
So I'm going to read the introduction and layaway plan, survival of the fittest. Most people associate when older guys pursue younger women that it's about sex, or the man suffers from low self-esteem or lack maturity or emotional intelligence. But in the Hanging with Herb segment, Herb will break down the real reasons why men may go this route. So number one, it's about legacy and not just sex. Number two, mortality driven behavior. And number three, nature of both genders is to populate the world. So we're going to discuss that. I might throw in a couple scenarios and we just go hopefully keep it live. Kim, hey, thanks for joining me tonight in the Counselor's Corner. So as far as counselors concerned, do I have any? No, I can't even say anything that jumps out at me right now, and that could change throughout the show, but right now I'm good. We can jump into this topic and just go from there. Martha Willoughby and Meredith Hickerson, thanks for joining me tonight in the Counselor's Corner. I really don't have no burning desires right now. So Herb, layaway plan, man, what's your thought on that? Because a lot of people might, they look at that as sick, words they associated with as perverted and things of that nature. And I threw many variations of this, and a lot of people, their comments got violent on some of the things that they say they would do, as if they can really control when this type of stuff happens. Because if two people are going to be together, they'll find a way. You can't monitor your 15, 16, 17, 18-year-old. Can't be with them every moment. If so, that means you're not working and doing what you're supposed to do to be productive. So that's where it gets funny at. So, and I'm not saying that I'm promoting this or whatever, but I'm just putting it out there that it's happening, and that can generate conversations with you and your teenage daughter or son, and just to see. I know some people say, well, I don't want to bring that up and give them any ideas. It's better just to put that conversation out there to see what their thought process is, because you never know. With this technology and things going on, people have access to each other all day, every day. So, and that's real. Nicole Isom, thanks for joining me. So, Herb, go ahead, give your go ahead.
You know what? I'm gonna pick up right there where you left off. I was gonna start out with the legacy part, but that's a good segue for the rest of the show, and we have some time to cover that. So I'm going to pick up where you left off.
All right.
Open lines of communication are vitally important when dealing with adolescents. we tend to think, and statistics are showing, is that there's an increased percentage of kids who are actually running away for a myriad of reasons, and don't necessarily have to be related to sexual things or things of that nature. It's a time in their life where they're actually trying to push the boundaries of parental control while actually still trying to feel safe. And I think that's vitally important for women to understand, because with the rise of fatherless homes, women are struggling and they have to deal with trying to maintain control and also trying to allow that child to grow. And we saw in one of the scenarios we posted where there was the older guy with the female he walked into the store with, and people were making comments about being perverted and things of that nature. Sexuality is human. Why do you think we have between 6 and 7 billion people on this planet? That is a natural biological urge that can't be stopped. I don't care who you are, whether you're heterosexual, homosexual, or hermaphrodite, or anything. That's something that's going to come about. So the best thing a parent can do is arm their child with information. And Donald Taylor made an excellent point regarding that. Or Patricia Cooper had asked him how he would feel if it was his daughter that brought home somebody that was 10 years her senior. And he said, all I could do is give her some information on what could potentially happen so she's aware of what pitfalls can come about from making these decisions. And I think that's an understated point. We need to realize that people are going to do what they want to do. The best thing you can do is arm them with information. Because a person that goes into a situation, it doesn't matter what that situation is, it could be romance, finance, business. The more information a person has, the better able they can make an informed decision, or as people like in academia like to say, an educated decision. Because too often these kids get out here in the world and they make these decisions and they don't understand what's on the other side of that decision. It's like, what movie was that? Road to Perdition. If anyone has ever seen Road to Perdition with Tom Hanks, and I can't remember the other guy's name that played the lead. Anyway, Road to Perdition is a movie about a gangster movie set in the late 1920s, early 1930s, when Prohibition was just reaching its climax. And there was a hit essentially that they went to. His son had jumped into the back of the car, unbeknown to Tom. They went, and a killing that wasn't supposed to take place took place, and the son was a witness. So the father said, asked Tom, he said, yo, can your boy keep a secret? And he said, hey, he's my son. Of course he can keep a secret. So the father's son hired somebody to kill the son. The only problem was he had killed the mother and the other son. And when Tom came home, he discovered it. Him and the son had to flee the town. Now the movie progresses on, and I know this is related to the topic necessarily, but I want to make the point. Later, they flee the city and they go to his sister-in-law's house. And the movie progresses on. He says, later in the movie, he was essentially killing everybody that had anything to do with murdering his son. And he told him, he said, hey, if you walk through this door, you walk through alone. There's no coming back. So that's what a lot of these kids are getting into. They're getting into a situation where they walk through a door, and that's it. Once that door closes behind them, there's no safety net. So this leads to kids being runaways, sex trafficked, and all these other things that come with that. So don't push your kids away, especially somebody that's 16, 17, 18 in that impressionable age. And now with the millennials who seem to be, and for lack of a better term, they seem to be retarded in their maturity. It seems like they're being caught up in the wash too. because they're slower to start their careers, they don't earn as much money as their predecessors, and you can label anything you want to for that problem. Politics, economy, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. All these things start to play a role in an ever-increasing global world and a society where everything that's black isn't black and everything that's white isn't white. So, just beware of that.
And that
All right, let's get to the first talking point, which was more the sector is about legacy.
well, let me say that, and that reminds me of. Well, I posted it last week. I seen it on Good Morning America when the 11-year-old kid from North Carolina decided to steal, I think it was his brother's car, and drove 200 miles to meet up with some guy that he met on Snapchat. 11 years old, driving 200 miles. That would be like probably, I can't imagine him going that fast. So I'm going to say if he was going 60 miles per hour, he was rolling for about 3 hours driving. Now, I know some people get taught to drive early, but I just, 11-year-old putting in that work, 3 hours, because some grown ass people can't drive more than a couple hours without cutting grass, being on the side of the road, or whatever the case is. So he was trying to get to this man. And the only reason why, because the signal went out on the tablet that he pulled over, I think it's some cab company, and there was a police there, and he must actually told him he was lost. And, the police officer probably said, what the hell is this little kid doing? But other than that, he was about to be in that guy's arms, or more than likely, he was about to get killed. This is not a game.
Mm-hmm.
Not a game at all.
Well, I'm sorry, go ahead.
No, I'm just saying that it's not a game. And I know people may think, okay, you make light of the situation, calling it the Layaway plan, but that's just more of a name, just a catchy name, but it's a serious conversation.
Yeah, when you originally posted that, I saw it, but I didn't read the story, and I didn't know the backdrop until you actually just spoke about it, because I saw it somewhere else posted on social media. And my whole thing is like you said, at 11, I would never, the only way you can get them car keys was if you were going to give them to a parent. There's absolutely no way on this earth I would have thought to get in the car, start it, and drive it. And that's what I mean by an ever-increasing complex society. You take technology and impulse, and all of a sudden you have what you just talked about. So you never know who is targeting your child. You just don't. So, I mean, it's for as much as the world is moving at a faster pace, it behooves you as a parent to be one step ahead of your child. And there's something I saw that was a teaching tool. And it said, instead of asking your son or your daughter how the school go, ask them, did they smile today? What did they learn in school? What did they dislike most about school? And have conversations centered around that. And I think that's important because it opens up dialogue between you and your child. And if you're one of those parents that claims to have an open line of communication with the child, then you have to wonder, how open is that line coming from the child to you? I'll say that again. How open are those lines of communication with that child speaking to you about things, not you speaking to the child? Because as an adult, you pretty much know what you're going to say. You know what you want to say. That child has no idea. That child could have experienced something or seen something that was so horrific that it shocked him or her. And you just shut him down. And this is why after a lot of mass shootings and things of that nature, they have crisis counselors so they can deal with those things right then and there while everything is fresh so they can get it out to that child. If that child has been psychologically damaged, they can fix that right then and there so it doesn't fester. It doesn't shut them down so they can go on in life and develop into a healthy functional, rational adult.
Well,
let me keep that in mind. You know, what happens? And none of us is privy to the next moment, the next minute, hour, day, month, year in advance, and know what's going to happen. Because if we do, we probably say now it's never come out.
Well, let me jump in on this. Kimberly said, hello, one and all. Hello, Kimberly. And you made a point about having that open dialogue. And from my experience, sitting back as a counselor, I don't know how much kids are really sharing with their parents, especially the ones that are sort of like street savvy or, for lack of better words, got a little hood in them. And, when I talk to them and like, okay, did you share this with your parent? And they like, and it was something minor as I think I had posted it. A lot of times when I post my middle school stuff, I call it middle school madness because I'm planning on coming up with a book after No Friday Foolishness. I'm going to be ready to jump in and start writing middle school madness. And that's going to be a book of different scenarios. So I think I posted it, and it was something as parent-teacher conference, no harm, no foul. I said to one of my students, "Oh, I seen your dad last night," and she like, "Yeah," and I'm like, "What's wrong? You act like you mad at him or something." She was like, "Oh, I can't stand him," and I'm like, "Yeah, he was at parent-teacher conference. That's a good thing." And then she like, "Nah, he be doing too much. Ain't nobody tell him to come up there." Really? And this is kind of what they feel like. They feel like this information is theirs. Like, oh, this is my school. I don't have to tell you anything. And you have to tell them the only time you get that type of privilege is when you get to college, that you don't have to share your grades with your parents at that point, even though I think that's wrong when a lot of times parents are paying money towards it, but because they're over 18 and adults, that they don't have to share that information. But this is their mindset on a daily basis, that like they're doing too much. Prime example of another one. It was some mail went out. One of my students intercepted it, and I'm like, dude, don't you see that it says to the parent of? That means it's for your mother or your father. It's not for you. And they're like, well, it has my name on it, so that's all that matters. No, that's not the case. But this is their mindset. Now, granted, not all kids like that. Some kids that come home and they'll share everything with their parents and like, this would happen, or I had a good day, I got a 90 on my science test. But then there's that percentage that they ain't trying to let you know nothing, and you don't know nothing to the very last moment. All right, go ahead, Herb.
All right, legacy. A lot of men, and like I was saying earlier, a lot of men nowadays are focused on passing on their wealth, their knowledge, and their resources to the generation behind them. Now, I know in the minority community, legacy is a term that we only associate with the upper elite people and things of that nature, because we just simply don't have the wealth or anything to pass on. So you have to ask yourself, if we don't have wealth to pass on, then what is our legacy? What are you passing on? And if you boil this down to just sex, then that is all you're going to pass on to your kids. Whether you were married, single mother, single father, divorced, you have to look beyond the here and now, beyond the physical gratifications, because when America and the world at large was an agrarian society, in order to survive, you needed to have a lot of children for a couple of reasons. One, because of the infant mortality rate. And I don't know if people are aware of what the infant mortality rate means. Infant mortality rate is as simple as this: the number of children that survive childhood into adulthood. So that's what the infant mortality rate is about. Not only that, you needed those hands to work the field, because if you didn't work the field, you starved. especially in northern climates where the weather turns, you need to have that food source put away and stored up. So all those hands were necessary. And who were the best people to produce those offspring? An older male who had land and resources, and a younger woman who could survive childbirth. Now, it's only through our cultural evolution and human progression that sex has taken on more of a pleasurable thing as opposed to a means to survive. So we look at where these trends come from. And in the United States of America, where we don't have royalty, we tend to look at Hollywood as our royalty. So what Hollywood does, society, in a lot of regards, they mimic that. And there are a lot of Hollywood couples who date older to young, whether it's male or female. They call them May-December romances. So you look at Demi Moore and Ashton Kutcher. I think Demi Moore was in her mid to late 40s, pardon me, and Ashton Kutcher was in his mid-20s when they started dating. Demi had already been through 2 marriages, had children. The movie Stella Got a Groove Back was predicated on that premise. So just understand, it's not just men who are targeting younger people, it's also women. And now with the advent of women being in education, and I think you might be able to speak to this too, Dave, we see a lot of women dealing with middle school and high school young males. Yeah. So believe me, it's not just men who are targeting young girls, it's also women who are targeting young boys. And because they feed on that, they feed on the notion that a boy will not turn down sex because that's the macho thing to do. Half of these boys don't know what the hell they're doing. They couldn't tell you about a clitoris, they couldn't tell you about a G-spot, they couldn't tell you about a vulva, they couldn't tell you any of that stuff. So just beware that it's out there. And just to reinforce what the infant mortality rates was, if you go to third world countries, particularly in Africa, their infant mortality rate is what the United States was back in 1800. So we're talking a little over 200 years. Their infant mortality rate is now starting to decline. So their population now is increasing. And I just found this out recently that Africa actually is the fastest growing population on the planet. And that doesn't surprise me. It just really doesn't. Because when you're impoverished and you don't have a lot going, you tend to lay up and you do what comes naturally. You don't need a whole lot to have sex. You need 2 million people with 2 functioning bodies.
It kind of makes sense even when you think about in American standards, because if you're hardly working and you're with a mate that's hardly working and y'all have some type of attraction, sex is going to go down. But if it's one of the partners that's working and the other one's not, more than likely, it happens here and there, but, one person may be busy, or if it's 2, then, hey, sometimes you have to get it in when you can get it in because of your work schedule or school schedule and stuff like that. So I can believe that, and that's why you have a lot of children, women that end up with multiple kids and stuff when they're really when they're not occupied doing other things. Then sex would be something like, okay, we here, it's gonna go down.
And I'll read a comment from the chat by Camila K. Scott. She says, I know my granddaughter was like that, said I'm doing too much. I'm so nosy, girl, you better be glad someone is nosy. And absolutely, I congratulate you and tell you to continue to do that. She will resent it now, but when she gets to be an adult and older, she will be ever so thankful. So continue to do that. Marcia, she says, some kids who have this type of attitude is the extension of how the parents relate to the child or children. And that is absolutely correct. Some parents, they can only relate from where they are or what they have done. And they assume that because they did something at a certain age, that their son or daughter is going to do it. Not really thinking that their son or daughter doesn't know enough not to do something. So she says that's why it's so important for parents to set positive examples for them. But how does a parent set a positive example when that parent has only known dysfunction? And I think that's the larger part of what we don't understand is that a lot of people are coming from broken homes. So the only example they can set for their kids is a bad example. And it's like former Mayor Vincent Anello said to me one day when we had a meeting. He said some of the worst places for these children are in their parents' homes. And I was furious when he said, but I had to admit, he was correct. Some of these parents, it's not that they don't parent well, they can't, because they just simply don't have the skills. And parenting is a skill. A skill is something you do repetitively to the point where you can better it. So just understand that. You can't say, she goes on to say, you can't say do as I do and you're doing the opposite. Correct. That's why it's so important for parents to take the responsibility of parenting very seriously. It's more than buying into your child or your children's materialistic things like buying clothes, especially buying them expensive gifts. Absolutely.
Yeah.
And I can't reinforce that enough. Go ahead, Dave.
And I think that's the thing. And I said this years ago, and I still say it to this day. And I just said it the other day. Let's stop calling these places schools because they're not schools. It's more of us doing damage control. And I said it should just be one agency, one-stop shop that you have all these places put in there because that's what we're dealing with most of the time. It's usually some social issue that's going on and you're trying to do damage control. And sometimes one or two students can kind of take away all of your plans because you're using so many resources on them. So I always would say that like these ain't schools no more. I mean, granted, there's people, majority of kids come there and they try to do the right thing and try to come to get education, but other ones, the ones that consume all of your energy, they have some real life dysfunctions going on in their world, which makes it difficult. But also I want to go to the point of when we talk about materialistic things, it's not difficult for some older guy to start, seeing a younger lady and knowing that their family is dysfunctional, or she may be lacking certain things, and he knows that he can provide it for her. And all kids want to have nice things. They want to have the latest sneakers. They want to have the latest hairdo. They want to get their nails done, their feet done. And if you're a guy that can, come along and she ends up finding trust in an older person or vice versa with a woman too, then you know why they're going to lean towards that. Because kids a certain age, all they care about is materialistic things at a certain point. They want to floss when they go to school. And morals and stuff may go out the window as far as that.
Without a doubt. You know what that reminds me of? There was a song by a man named Diamond D. Sally Has a One-Track Mind. That song comes right to the forefront of my thinking when you was making these statements. And if you haven't heard that song before, go to YouTube and listen to it. And to a T, it describes what David just spoke about. So you got a couple homework assignments tonight. Go listen to that song, Sally Got a One-Track Mind. And if you haven't seen Road to Perdition, just sit down and watch the movie. It's an excellent movie. My personal opinion. Now, I had asked on my Facebook profile what would be the ideal or list of things in order of importance for you looking for a potential mate. The 5 areas that I had that I listed was income, financial stability, health, attractiveness, or beauty, age, and compatibility. Now, somebody asked me what was my criteria, and I come through into the show and I'll reveal it. For me, number one is compatibility. Number two is health. Number three is attractiveness. Four is age. Five is income. And I'll lay out to you why. And this is one of the reasons why a lot of people tend to gravitate towards somebody that's older or younger. You have some older people who missed certain things when they were growing up. So they look to somebody that's younger to fill that void. And that's where that compatibility starts to grow. And it's just like David mentioned with his prior comment. If you find a kid who's looking for material possessions and they find an older individual, whether it's male or female, who can provide that, that starts the compatibility, even though it's not real. It's a materialistic compatibility. But this is one of the things that women gravitate to. They gravitate to a man who can provide them a home, so she can have her kids, so she can raise her kids up in a home where they're not going to have to worry about eating, protection, and all the material things that she wants for her children. So it's not just young adults and kids who do this. We as adults do this. This is why we go out and work. This is why we try to earn as much money as we do. And this is why a lot of women don't stay down, because they are not trying to support a man. Okay, understand that. That's where the nature of male and female roles come in. Now, when you get into the home, you can talk about washing dishes, changing diapers, babysitting. Those are things that are peripheral, really they are. In the grand scheme of things, a relationship, you can partner with those. I did the dishes last night, I cooked last night, you take a, that's nothing. Because the average person is looking for those things that I listed. So one of the things that I discovered was coming up with this topic was the problem that generally occurs between people of varying degrees of age, and the age range was about from 8 to 10 years in that time frame, and that's where they define the major symbol of romance. And one of the things we just discussed was maturity, and like I said, that comes with compatibility. Two is the opinion gaps in that, because you have people that have life experiences and you have people that don't have the life experiences. So if you're going to sit down and you're going to talk about politics, if the individual you're dealing with is very limited in their life exposure in regards to politics, you have to be able to understand that, because if not, that's going to cause friction. So when you're already operating from a perspective of imbalance, you have to bear in mind that those things are they're going to play a major role. Another issue was the sexual life. Now, and this was hit on numerous times by women regarding the 50-year-old man who decided to date down for women between, I think it was the ages of 24 to 35. Am I correct, Dave?
Well, when I posted the guy and said he was looking for somebody 21 through 35, yeah.
Okay, it's 21 to 35, okay. Is the sexual energy. Now, you have people in varying degrees in their life. And you also have people with higher libidos or lower libidos. Generally speaking, the optimal age for a male sexually is where he's from 18 to about 25. That's what the statistics say his best prime sexual performance years are. For women, it's on the opposite end of the spectrum. It's in her 30s is when she reaches her sexual peak. And I don't know why that is. I haven't delved into the science behind it and everything else. But that's one of the issues that gets talked about in a relationship. And I know people are saying, well, there's Viagra now. So You gotta ask yourself, do you really want to have to stop and take a pill every time you're ready to do the deed? It's not gonna. I mean, it's not like he's going to get strawberries, dip in some chocolate, or you're gonna pour some champagne or something. It's gonna be included in the act, or whatever it is that you want to do. Whether you drinking something out of her belly button or you're licking it, so you really don't have to stop and pop a pill every time. These levels can sleep off in the car while his or her kids, which was another thing that they talked about, is in the bedroom sleep or whatever, and y'all don't want to make too much noise because he's a screamer or whatever the case is. Do you really want to ruin that mood? So I mean, there's all types of things to consider. Another one of the incompatibility issues they talked about was the older spouse dying. And this is where the whole gold digger nonsense comes in. Now, I'm not saying that women don't target men for resources. Let me make that clear. I know they do. Personally, I don't care. If that man has accumulated enough wealth in his life to the point where he feels he wants to give it away to a woman he can indulge himself with physically, let that man live. That man that worked 40, 50 years, he done slaved and broken back, especially if he's a blue-collar guy. Let that man live. Let that man go out and engage in the carnal pleasures that he earned. Because it's a fair trade. Prostitution is the oldest job in the world. The oldest, what do you call it, Dave? The oldest profession in the world. Uh-huh. So it's a fair exchange. So long as that child, and I want to make this clear, that so long as that child or that person is of the age of consent. I had to go back and forth with somebody on that point. We're not talking about kids who can't give consent. And this goes back to the show last week where we talked about what consent was. So all of this stuff, although it may seem like it's just out there in space and there's nothing connected, all this stuff is interconnected. So understand, we're talking about people that can give consent. So as long as a person is legally able to consent and they're willing to consent and they know what they're consenting about, it's a fair exchange. The man is giving up money for good time. I'm not saying that anybody's way of enjoying life.
Well, my thing is this.
Go ahead.
My thing is this: when you look at when you look at in some of these posts that were made, like I said earlier, some of these women were very angry, even at the guy who I posted said he's turning 50 and he's looking for someone 21 to 35. Some of the comments, I don't know if men, do they get that, we know women are more emotional, but I don't know if it makes or break a guy when he sees an older woman with a younger guy. He may get that guy a pound, like, man, okay, soldier, or something like that, or whatever the case it is. But women, they get so angry, and the man, okay, he's 50. He said he liked 21 to 35. Now, not granted, not all women. Some women was like, he entitled to like who he liked. That has nothing to do with me. But it was some that was downright upset about it. And, you know, they're like, what do they have in common, or whatever the case is. That's always the conversation. You could have in common whatever you want to have in common. If you're an older person and you want to be open-minded and kind of go back into that world, you can be, and vice versa, like with somebody younger. They may like the fact of somebody older that's giving them knowledge and wisdom to say, listen, this is how this is going to play out. Your friends, they're not trying to do you no well. So they look towards that. So who are any of us to judge based on age and how these relationships pan out? Sometimes it works out fine, but me personally, and I'll say this, and I done said it many times, I don't give a damn what the next person do. Really, I don't, because I'm always occupied on my vision. So I can see things, but it's not going to be to the point that it's going to beat me down, or I'm going to be show malice in my heart, I don't give a damn. I don't. Really, I don't. All right.
And here's a statistic, and these statistics are actually changing. And believe it or not, the trend is upward for an increasing age gap in marriages. And like I said earlier, it's due to resources, with a lot of the millennials coming out now not being able to secure home, stable income. Women are not opting to pick them. And I don't know if anybody's ever heard of the term incel, which is short for involuntary celibacy. And this is a rise in young men who are not able to find a woman to just engage in even not committed casual sex. You know, I brought a man, Alan Roger Curry. He is one of these men who fits the scenario that Dave was talking about. He's in his mid 50s. His girlfriend is 25. She's pregnant with his child. She's currently getting ready to move in with him in his home. So people, this is not something that's happening in a vacuum. Okay, and Roger Allen Curry is a well-spoken man, educated, and he earns a very good income. For a woman in her mid-20s, he's a catch. Similarly, there is almost 12% of relationships where the husband is 6 to 9 years older than his wife. Similarly, with women, there's 3%. So, I mean, these numbers are starting to increase, and with life expectancy growing because of medical technology, our food supply, people are more in the health, they're more in the fitness. You're going to continue to see a burgeoning pool of people that are reaching back for younger people to date. The term cougar didn't arise out of anywhere. And I'll be the first to say it. I dealt with women who were 10 years older than I on multiple occasions. And I was in my mid-20s. So believe me, it's not just men who are doing it. I can't stress that enough. You know, and a lot of things are going to be determined by where you live. So if you live in a metropolitan area where there's a lot more people in your age demographic, you probably won't deal with dating somebody who's that much older than you are. Because the person you're looking for will have what you want. The person you're looking for in your age bracket will have what you want. So let's say you go to college, you get out of high school, your child gets out of high school at 19. I graduated when I was early, of course. And they go to school, they put in their 4 years, they get out when they're 23, and they get into the career. Similarly, they find somebody else, a year, maybe 2 older, and they get together, they have kids, they go on and they live their life. But take the individual who doesn't go to college, versus somebody that does. That person who goes to college is going to progress quicker in the financial realm versus the person who didn't go to high school, versus the person who didn't go to college. There's a high school stuck in my head for some odd reason. Now, unless that person is a blue-collar worker, more often than not, they are not going to earn that type of money. So if they live in a place where, let's say San Francisco, or just the state of California, if they live in the state of California where real estate is becoming ever so expensive, they're looking for somebody who's stable, whether it's male or female. And guess what that means? That means more than likely they're going to find somebody that's older, whether it's male or female, gay or straight. Because we tend to look at this only in the realm of heterosexual. There's gay mates in the romance. And one of the reasons why that works is because gay people for so long have been shunned that they have been forced to take back roads to relationships. They have been forced to keep their love for the betrothed in the closet, as they say. So now with the ability to come out and be who they are without fear of persecution or being ridiculed, one of the people that they seek, or one of the groups of people that they seek out, are older people for advice and wisdom. And sometimes that advice and that wisdom turns into compatibility. And like I said, for me, and there's a lot of other people that compatibility was a concern. That turns into a relationship. I mean, how many times have you seen guys who hang around the female, and hope that he's being selected by her, and she just say, well, you know, just kind of happened. She got comfortable with him. She got comfortable enough to let her guy down, and he, to his credit, or to her credit, was consistent enough to keep applying that pressure. And as David like to say, pressure bust pipe.
Let me ask you this, Herb, and I know the Honorable Elijah Muhammad had said it about guys, the proper mate for you as far as compatibility is you take your age, divide it by 2, and then add 7 to it. So me, I'll tell my age, 49. So you divide that by 2, and that would be 24, 25, add 7 to it, that's 32. So right now they're saying as a 49-year-old, the most compatible woman for me is a 32-year-old. Now, women might say, again, what do y'all have in common? Why would a 49-year-old be with a 32-year-old? I mean, and you know, like Herbert was saying, you know, there's the physical component, but also there's that financial component. So it's a lot. It depends on what that person needs. Because usually when you go looking for some far as relationships, it may be something that you had missed out on, and you're looking for somebody to fill that void. So things just happen. I don't know. I can't say that would be my method, but surely, you know, I wouldn't close my eyes or block it out and say, oh, no, that's not for me, because you just never know. You just got to live life and see what happens. Go ahead, Herb.
And I think the thing that most people don't really factor in to that, particularly as far as men go, because men can produce children at any point in their life. Tony Randall, for those of you who don't know who he is, Tony Randall played one half of the Oscar Madison Felix Unger duo on the older TV show, The Odd Couple. He had a child when he was 79. Okay, so men can produce children at any point in their life. So if a man, and take myself for example, I'll be 48 this year. I don't have any children. Now, let's just say for some odd and insane, inexplicable reason, I decided, you know what? I'm comfortable enough now. You know, I've done enough in life. I've achieved enough. All I'm missing is a kid. No matter if it's a boy or girl, I want to have a child. What would be the best option for me to go secure a child that's going to be born healthy? You think it's going to be a middle-aged woman in her early 30s or a woman in her mid-20s? It'll become simple survival, like I said earlier, survival of the fittest. You're going to reach back into that 20-something pool, find your female who you deem attractive, who you're compatible with, who you can get along with, and more importantly, who you can mold. Now, when I say the term mold, it's not what you're potentially thinking. When you mold someone, you want to get somebody that you can get them to see what it is that you want and get them to do it. You're not trying to change them. You're trying to bring them up so they follow behind you, not blindly, but willingly, because they see what your end game is. You're the leader. It's like a sergeant in a platoon. Those recruits follow that sergeant because they know that sergeant knows something that they don't. They know that sergeant can lead them to victory. That's what a head of household does. And more often than not, when a man is picking a suitable mate for a wife and to sire kids with, that's what he's looking for. So to be combative and say that men are perverts, oh, they're immature, they can't deal with a woman on his own level, those are the very reasons why men tend to deal with younger women, because they're not set in their ways. They are willing to learn, and more importantly, they are willing to listen without always having to say something. If you as a woman, you find yourself out on a date, and every time, whether it's male or female, says something that you disagree with and it's contentious, you're the problem. Not that other person, you're the problem. Because you're unwilling to change for the sake of conversation. Nobody's saying you have to agree with what's being said. You can always disagree. The catch is in how you disagree. You can always disagree by asking questions on, like, why do you feel this way? Or what led you to that decision? Try and get more information so you can understand why a person disagrees. Because when I disagree with an individual, I'm saying, okay, you know what? Nothing interesting perspective. Why did you come to that point? Because for somebody to try and validate somebody's opinion, particularly when it's based on their own experiences, you're essentially invalidating that person as a person. You're telling them that what they went through does not matter. And that's dangerous.
Yeah.
This is why kids end up running away. Go ahead, Dave.
I want to add a point to that. I know when you were mentioning something about the 79-year-old guy, and I know in the dialogue it was you, and I forgot her name. Not that I forgot her name, but I had a bunch of posts going on, and it was one young lady had mentioned about being too old, and they mentioned about going to school when you're older parents, and now your kid is messed up socially because the other kids are calling you because that's your grandfather, is that your grandmother. Now that's real. Unfortunately, that's real. That's real. And these kids, because if you think about it, say for example in middle school, now if you had kids late and your kid is 12 and you had a kid when you were like 40, now they're 12, now you're like 52, and the average kid, their parent may be 30 or 31, questions get asked. And that's why, for y'all parents, when the kid says, drop me off right here at the corner, or don't come in here, or they walk ahead of you, that's because they're going to hear it from other students. Was that your mother? Now, when you out of shape cop and you breathing heavy and up the stairs, and all that stuff, and their mother body is tight and she's fine as hell, and you gained a little weight, or your father or the father, he's big as an outhouse, your child is gonna feel it later on if they identify and say, that's your parent, that ain't your grandfather, because there is some kids a lie and say, oh, that's my aunt. And that's sad that you would deny your parents, but trust me, it happens. So that's why you don't want to be too old. I'm just being real. I'm just being real. And as mean as that sounds, but that, that's the case, whatever, because, and granted, that kid that's old, parents older, they could be living in a $400,000, $500,000 home, and meanwhile the other kid, mother's fine and she a stripper and she just barely getting by. But kids, they don't look at it like that. They don't even look at it like that. And sometimes you have to school them and tell them, like, yeah, well, that's why you just got dropped off in this nice Lexus, and they car got kickback, whatever, spark plugs, a bunch of noise, can barely crank up. But they don't see it like that. They look at that physical as well, and they want, I want my father to be in shape, mother to be fine, so no one will talk about me in that facet of my life. Craziness.
Yeah, Yeah, man. I mean, I you know, the funny thing about what you just said is I've seen that, you know, just from the 2 days a week when I was volunteering at Lace Preparatory School. I know you have to, what you see and what you come across has to be beyond almost comprehensive. For me, it was just a day of life in your office, man. I know it has to be almost borderline insane. But real quick, before we get up out of here, I want everybody to go to YouTube, and this is the third and final assignment from the show. There's a gentleman named BGS, and that stands for Black Gnostic Speak. He has a series of what he calls octane videos. And simply put, octane is the rating of a female. It's bowed from gas, so 87, 89, 90, 92, 100. And he slots them according to what they want and what they can bring to a relationship. And that goes back to what I was talking about earlier with a woman seeking out a mate who can provide certain things. So just go to YouTube, and if you can't remember, just shoot me a message or post on the video screen, and I'll drop a link to the video. As a matter of fact, I believe I will drop a link to the video. You can probably also watch party for this, right, Dave?
Yeah.
I will drop a link to one of his videos in the Octane series, and he breaks it down really well in terms of what what every woman, no matter where she is in life or what she's aspiring to do, he breaks it down very well into what she is looking for. So I encourage people, you know, check that out. Because like I said, you know, we might talk about one topic this week, another topic this week, but it all plays a hand. It's like a hand with fingers. You know, each finger has a different strength, but together they form a stick. You take out one of those fingers, you weaken the stick. So all of this stuff plays a role in life.
True. Always come back. It always come back full circle, whatever. And we have to learn how to connect the dots. Some people don't do a good job of connecting the dots because they don't want to do the research or listen to anybody when they're trying to get to point A to point B. Because you're going to have to listen to people to get where you're trying to go. And ones who don't listen, that's why they're the impasse. So, you know, it would be wise for anyone. And I'm not saying I'm the all knower, because I got people that I listen to, and if they say something and their word is bond to me, and I respect that. But I think a lot of people, mainly younger people, well, that's old. The things is different now, and they don't want to listen. Like I tell people, this time does not stand still. It keeps going. I can remember when I was 17, 18, remember certain times, I wore this, I had on this, or this was said, and people were like, how do you remember that? Because for most part, I used that to try to better myself, my life experiences. Other people, they just, you know, they kind of shun out stuff and figure like they got all the answers. All right, I know it's like 9:59. Herbert, you got closing words?
Your homework assignment, people. Like I said, man, I'll drop the link to the BGS video. Make sure you know, if you like movies, I think Go to Position is actually a cool movie. I think it's a good date movie for any of you people out there looking at Netflix and chill. you might end up crying, or she might end up crying at the end, because it's kind of a tragic ending. But I think there's a lot of metaphors for life in that movie that you can take with you. And of course, you know, go listen to that Diamond D. Kelly Got a One-Track Mind for all my hip hop heads out there.
All right. I mean, myself, like I said, Layaway plan. It's just more open dialogue. You know, you have to talk to your children, and what's crazy is a lot of times for me, parents call me and say, could you call my kid down? Because they're not giving me any information, and maybe you can find out something, uh, and if you could share it with me. But that doesn't mean don't have those conversations, even though it may make your child feel uncomfortable, and they may look at you like, why are you asking me this? But as a parent, you're going to keep it. You're going to stay in there. You're going to stay in their ear. And eventually, when they start hearing that same message from other people, because the light bulb goes off. Because there's times I've had conversations in the schoolhouse, and they'll say, you know what? Yeah, my mother or father said that, Mr. Glover. They did say that. And I said, well, if a couple of people saying it that you trust and believe in, trust me, they're more than likely we're telling you good stuff. So you just got to be careful. But we know the layaway plan is a lot of times based on needs. So if you're struggling and you can't provide for your teenage daughter or your teenage son, and he's getting ridiculed from his peers, he or she may very well look for someone to come through. Luckily, the times that my mother couldn't come through, and she came through a lot, I had a great resourceful family with my aunts, my grandparents, whatever, that they made sure I didn't go without anything, as well as my siblings, my brothers and my sisters. So therefore, as adults, we just tried to maintain that status. But it's a lot of people who don't have those resources, and they look for other people. And there's vultures out there, they're just waiting, they just lurking. They see shit on social media, and you'd be surprised, like, why is my 17-year-old daughter friends with this 60-year-old man, or whatever the case is. But conversation, what they say, I don't even know the phrase, something about documentation, communication or something, form of documentation. But nevertheless, that's all I have. Stay tuned for the watch party. I'll probably be running the show a couple more times. And if you haven't chimed in now, chime in through the watch party. And let's just keep building and keep growing. And everybody have a good, productive week. And I can't wait till this. I don't know about y'all, but it's still, the other day, still like 90 degrees, 88. I can't wait for the fall weather to hit. I'm waiting, dying for that. This shit getting insane. Like, okay, so
the weather is been up and down. It's been like a yo-yo. I'm in my house right now, contemplating putting on the heat.
Yeah, it's crazy, and I know that it's kind of going to lead to people getting sick or whatever the case is. I just want it to be fall weather, because me, I sweat a lot. I get tired of damn sweating and carry it all. I just want to come in, be cool and relaxed. But that's just part of me. Anyways, I'm out. I'm about to check the rest of this Steelers and Bengals game. That's my team, the Steelers. Not that we going anywhere, but we winning 17-3 right now. So we about to get this W, and we only going to be one game behind the Ravens and the Browns. So we going to be back in it. So that's what I'm about to do. Like I said, if any of y'all have any questions or concerns that you want to add to the dialogue, feel free to type it in. Sorry for the people who made comments, who came in, who I didn't give a shout out to. I appreciate y'all. And please share the video. Please share. That's all I ask. I don't ask for much. And stay tuned for No Friday Foolishness. My next book is coming out real soon, and I'm looking for those pre-orders to get stuff going. And, you know, sometimes I make deliveries, house call deliveries. So let me know. All right. I'm out. Peace. Thanks, Herb, for your insight, your research, and all that. And we're going to keep moving on to the next topic. All right. Peace.